A good product that is not accompanied by good service loses its value. Imagine going to a restaurant well noted for good food. Unfortunately, the waitress that day comes to work fuming and full of irritation. You place an order for food. First, she delays in serving you. Then when she finally chooses to serve you, she does so carelessly. Such an attitude would make the food taste sour in the mouth. The next day, would you go to the same restaurant to be served by the same waitress? The psychology of customers is such that poor service would induce one to change a product. The point is simple. How you serve people matters. Long before Robert Kane Greenleaf would coin the phrase servant leadership in his 1970 essay, The Servant as Leader, Jesus had already imparted that style of leadership to his disciples. He would say to his audience in our gospel passage, "The greatest among you shall be your servant." Matthew 23, verse 11. Jesus observed how the religious leaders of his time took delight in the honor accorded to them, but not the service they ought to render as leaders. He was so dissatisfied with their style of leadership that he told the crowds and his disciples, "The scribes and the Pharisees have seated themselves in the chair of Moses. Therefore, all that they tell you, do and observe, but do not do according to their deeds, for they say things and do not do them." Matthew 23, 2-3. The passage of Malachi was equally addressed to spiritual leaders who had become negligent in their duties and were supervising a religious system that was an affront to God. They preached what people desired to hear rather than communicate God's unalloyed message. The prophet Malachi will say to them, "If you will not listen, if you will not lay it to heart to give glory to my name, says the Lord of hosts, then I will send the curse upon you and I will curse your blessings." Malachi 2, verse 2. Under the huge umbrella of leadership, it appears the pomp and pageantry that characterize political leadership has eaten deep into some Christian communities. The exercise of leadership has been reduced to a display of showmanship and theatrics. Consequently, the power dimension has supplanted the suffering servant dimension. In fact, in some communities, there is a leadership crisis, characterized by ostentatious living and an avalanche of titles and gross disrespect for people. Some leaders have established themselves as small gods, needing libation instead of pouring themselves out as libation in service of the people of God. In the end, they rob God's people of their worth and wealth. In sum, the lifestyle of some leaders makes a mockery of the gospel of Jesus Christ. In Paul's first letter to the church in Thessalonica, one can discern a Christ-like attitude in leadership. Recalling with a sense of nostalgia his experience and ministry among them, he writes, "But we proved to be gentle among you, as a nursing mother tenderly cares for her own children." 1 Thessalonians 2, verse 7. In fact, if you look at the preceding verse, Paul makes it clear to the Thessalonians that as an apostle, he had the ability to make his weight felt among them. In other words, he could have asserted his authority. However, he intentionally chose to be gentle, that is, to live unassumingly among them. His use of the Greek word trophos, translated as a nursing mother, is heartwarming. For a moment, think of some of the qualities of a nursing mother: compassion, empathy, ability to listen, and ability to communicate. These are the values that govern servant leadership. Paul then adds, having thus a fond affection for you, we were well pleased to impart to you not only the gospel of God, but also our own lives, because you had become very dear to us. 1 Thessalonians 2 verse 8. It is fair to say that any Christian who accepts to lead in any sphere of human endeavor must look up to Christ as an example. He came among us as one who serves, and he loved us to the point of death. In his footsteps, may we give the best of ourselves when we are called upon to serve as leaders.